last session we understood the chemical properties of metals. So now in this session we are going to understand the physical properties of non-metals. So the first property is that non-metals are non-malleable and non-ductile. It means they cannot be hammered in order to get thin sheets, nor we can make thin wires from it. So the question arises कि non-metals होते कैसे हैं? So non-metals कैसे होते हैं? They are brittle. Brittle मतलब कि ये बहुत आसानी से टूट सकते हैं. They can break into pieces very easily. If I talk about sulfur and phosphorus, which are actually non-metals, so they are very brittle. Non-metals do not conduct heat and electricity. So, for this we know that non-metals do not have free electrons. Non-metals are actually there to accept the electrons, okay? And since they do not have any free electrons, that is why there will be no movement of electrons and thus no electricity could be conducted. Similar is the case with the heat conduction also. It is the bad conductor of heat also. But here is an exception. So, carbon in the form of graphite actually conducts electricity and is used as an electrodes. Now let us talk about the third property of non-metal. So the third property says that non-metals are dull and they are non-lustrous. It means they are not shiny. For example, if I talk about sulfur and phosphorus, so they are dull and non-lustrous. However, we have an exception here. So iodine is a non-metal which is lustrous and have shiny surface. Similarly, if I talk about diamond, so diamond is also an allotrope of carbon which is also lustrous. Now let us talk about the fourth property. So non-metals are generally soft. For example, if I talk about sulfur and phosphorus, so they are soft non-metals. However, if I talk about diamond, which is an allotrope of carbon, so it is very hard. In fact, it is the hardest natural substance known. Now the fifth property. So non-metals are not strong and can be broken easily. So we have studied before that non-metals are brittle. That is, they have low strength. That's the reason if I talk about graphite sheet, then that can be broken very easily if a large weight is put on it. Okay. Now the sixth property. So this property states that non-metals can be solid, liquid or gases at room temperature. For example, if I talk about carbon, sulfur and phosphorus, so they are solid at room temperature, whereas bromine, it is liquid at room temperature, and hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and chlorine, these are gases. Now let us talk about the seventh property of non-metal, which states that non-metals have low melting and boiling point. So non-metals usually have low melting and boiling point. For example, if I talk about sulfur or phosphorus, their melting point is very low, around 105 degrees Celsius. Now if I talk about diamond, so diamond is an exception here. So diamond has very high melting point, which is 3500 degrees Celsius. And I can say it's quite high. Now the next property, non-metals are very light substance. So non-metals are not heavy, they have low densities. Then the next property says that non-metals are available in different colors. For example, if I talk about sulfur, it is yellow in color. Phosphorus, it comes in white or red in color. Graphite, which is an allotrope of carbon, is black in color. And chlorine, it is yellowish green in color. And talking about gases like oxygen and hydrogen, so they are colorless. And here is the last property, which states that non-metals are non-sonorous. That is, it won't make any sound when beaten. So we have completed all the physical properties of non-metal. Now we are going to see how metals and non-metals will react with each other. Now here is the question. How metals and non-metals react with each other. So metals and non-metals, they combine to form ionic bond, and that is why they form ionic compounds. This is the example for it, which talks about formation of sodium chloride. So consider an atom of sodium and chlorine. So sodium has an atomic number of 11. Therefore, its electronic configuration will be 281. Similarly, chlorine has the atomic number of 17 and that is why its electronic configuration will be 287. Now, in order to achieve the noble gas configuration, that is, in order to have 8 electrons in the outermost shell, sodium have to lose its 1 electron, whereas chlorine has to accept 1 electron. Okay, so we can write this as Na, it has to lose 1 electron in order to form Na cation. Similarly, chlorine, it has to accept 1 electron in order to form chloride anion. So let us now see the formation of sodium chloride. So sodium will react in such a way that it will give one of its electron to chlorine and chlorine will accept that electron in order to form anion. So we can represent it in this way. So Na has 1 electron in the outermost shell. Similarly, chlorine has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. Okay, so sodium will be transferring its electron to chlorine. Now here it is complete transfer and that is why ionic bond will be formed. Okay, so in the product we will be having Na plus and it will be chlorine, 7 atoms here and 1 atom of sodium here. In this way, chlorine has also obtained the noble gas configuration and we will put minus here. And we will call this as sodium chloride or NaCl. Now, sodium chloride being opposite charge attract each other and they are held by electrostatic forces of attraction and that is why they exist as NaCl. Now let us take one more example. So in this example we are going to talk about formation of magnesium chloride. So if I talk about magnesium as an atom, so magnesium has the atomic number of 12 and that is why its electronic configuration will be 282. If I talk about chlorine, so chlorine we know it is 17 and that is why its electronic configuration will be 287. Okay. Now magnesium chloride's formula is actually MgCl2, which means one magnesium atom contains 2 chloride atoms. So when magnesium reacts with chlorine, magnesium atom transfer its 2 outermost electron to 2 chlorine atoms and it is done as follows. So magnesium के outermost में कितने electrons हैं? 2 electron. ठीक है, तो ये क्या करेगा? It will have to lose this 2 electron in order to obtain the noble gas configuration. तो उसके लिए मैंने क्या करा यहाँ पे -2 electron लिख दिया. तो अब मुझे क्या मिला? I got magnesium Mg2 plus and this is cation. Okay, this is magnesium cation having the electronic configuration of 28 and here it was 282. And talking about chlorine, so chlorine is 287. It means it has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So here in the formula you can see that one magnesium atom is combining with 2 chlorine atoms, right? That is why I'll put 2 here. And these 2 chlorine atoms will be accepting the 2 electrons from the magnesium in order to obtain the noble gas configuration and thus it comes out to be twice of chlorine having 8 electrons in the outermost shell and will have negative charge. Okay, so this is chlorine anion. Now let us see the structure of it. So its structure will be somewhat like this, that magnesium is having 2 electrons in the outermost shell and it is combining with 2 chlorine atoms. So this is 2 chlorine atoms having 7 electrons in the outermost shell, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Similarly, this chlorine will also have 7 electrons in the outermost shell, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this magnesium will transfer one of its electron to this chlorine atom and another electron to this chlorine atom. In this way, it will form Mg 2 plus, and chlorine will be 7 electrons of chlorine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 of magnesium, and that is why the charge will be negative. Similarly, here also the second chlorine will have 7 of its own electron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 electron from magnesium, and that is why it will also have a charge of negative. So we can write this whole as Mg2 plus dot twice of chlorine minus, or we can say this as MgCl2. So this is how we are going to do this. Now let me tell you one thing, that the compounds which are formed in this manner by the transfer of electrons are known as ionic compounds or electrovalent compounds, and these compounds have their own properties which we are going to study just now. So we studied that the compounds that contains ionic bonds are called ionic compounds. Now these ionic compounds are made up of positively charged ion called cation and negatively charged ion called anion. Okay, now let us see the properties of this ionic compound. The very first property is the physical nature of ionic compound. So the ionic compounds are crystalline solid, so you will find them in the solid form. Okay, next, they are solid but they are brittle, that is on applying pressure they can break easily. Now why they are solid? This is because the force of attraction between the positive and negative ion, it is so strong, that is why they are held together. Now the second property. So the second property states that ionic compounds have high melting point and boiling point. Now again, this is because of strong interionic forces. So that is why a considerable amount of heat energy is required to break that force, and thus it has high melting and boiling point. For example, if I talk about NaCl, which is an ionic compound, so it has a high melting point of 800 degrees Celsius, whereas if I talk about its boiling point, so its boiling point is 1413 degrees Celsius, which is quite high. Now the third property. So the third property is about the solubility. So ionic compounds are soluble in water. But if I talk about organic solvents like ether or acetone or kerosene, etc., so they are insoluble in those organic solvent. They are only soluble in water. This is because water is able to weaken the force of attraction between the positive and the negative ion, and thus making them soluble. Now the last property, and it states that ionic compound conduct electricity when dissolved in water or when melted. Now conduction of electricity actually involves the movement of charged particles. Solid ionic compound crystals, when they are dissolved in water, so they break down into ions, positive and negative ions, and these positive and negative ions become free to move, and thus due to the presence of plenty of these free ions in the solution, the ionic compounds in the molten state is able to conduct electricity. Note that solid ionic compounds will not be able to conduct electricity. This is because there will be no free positive and negative ion. So congratulations, we have completed the topic on the physical properties of nonmetals and how nonmetals and metals combine together, and also the properties of ionic compounds. So these properties is very important. Now I am going to meet you in the next session, in which I am going to talk about occurrence of metals. Till then, bye bye and take care of yourself.